I'll tell you where this leaves regular women. But before I do that, I want to, be like, what's going on, everybody? Your boy Bowie's back. I meant for this to be one video, but it got split up into two accidentally. And I apologize for the grainy video quality here. But anyway, part two of Women Still Deserve Better. But where this leaves regular women is they have a choice. They have to decide whether they are going to be whether they're going to be guided by the sentiment of seeking validation, or whether they are going to be guided by seeking happiness. They have to decide whether they want to be right about the harm that men have caused them, and therefore hold on to bitterness and resentment, and therefore hold these absurdly high nitpicking standards for men and wind up potentially being lonely forever, or whether they're going to be willing to take some ownership in their part in their traumas, let go of that and use their energy to pick better men so that they can be loved by those men and love them back, regardless of how much the guy makes or doesn't make. So, if I'm going to say that women play some part in their trauma, I may as well explain how and why. So, let me be clear. To any woman that was hurt by a man, you didn't do anything to deserve it. That man harmed you purely for his reasons. He decided to do it. He harmed you because he decided to do it. Or maybe it was in his nature to do it. Either way, it wasn't the woman's choice. It wasn't your choice as the woman for him to do what he did. So by no means am I going to blame you for his part. But what I am going to do is I will blame you for being hasty in choosing this person before you knew who you was dealing with. And I absolutely will blame you for ignoring the sometimes very blatant red flags that this guy was giving that he was a shitty partner. Because one thing about men are not very good at long-term deception. They can trick people, within a short time frame, Dudes can make their mouths say anything. They can say all the right words. They can do all the nice gestures. They can appear to be anything they want to appear, but they can only do so for a short amount of time. Before long, a man's true nature always exposes itself, because the way a man feels about the world and people in it is going to permeate everything that he does. All you got to do is give him enough time to show you. So many women allow the relationship to be hastened by quickly going to bed with these dudes, quickly getting into relationships or quasi relationships with these dudes before they can be properly vetted. So many of you ignore the red flags that these guys put up. He gave you bad vibes. or a bad feeling, and you said, nah, he's got so much potential. Nah, he makes this amount of money. He does this for a living. Nah, he makes me feel butterflies or whatever the hell. You ignored your own instincts. You ignored other people's advice. Your friends don't like him. Your mama doesn't like him. Your friends, well, I already said friends. Your male family members and or friends are not enthralled with him. But you ignored all of them. Many of you did. You ignored the good counsel of others and decided to do what you wanted to do anyway, which you have every right to do, but you gotta live with whatever consequences that comes with. You know, and you don't get to complain later. Ain't nobody tell you to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna say this. I was very disappointed. I was disappointed when I looked in the YouTube section of Iyanla's video. And I saw so many women just outright rejecting everything she had to say. I saw so many women superimposing their interpretation of what they heard her say rather than what she actually said. In case I didn't make it clear before, I watched Iyanla Vanzant's extended video where she continued the conversation about what she initially discussed with Ebony K. Williams, and she had a male guest on. I think if I'm not mistaken, his name is Dr. Steve Perry. And they extended the conversation. And I listened intently over multiple days, and I didn't hear anything that I thought was untoward against women or anything of the sort. I thought the both of them accurately assessed the behaviors of Ebony K. Williams and some of these other women out here, but they didn't demean them. And there were some basic, ideas that they both put forward, but so many women in the comments section they ignored all of that. All they heard was that Iyanla wanted them to date below their standards, and that was not okay. And I'm like, Iyanla said repeatedly, have whatever standards that you want to have, but make sure your energy is right. If your energy's right, you'll attract exactly the right kind of man for you. Get that in order first. Don't prioritize the standards. Prioritize your own energy, your own feminine energy. Get in tune with that. If you get in tune with that, then virtually everything else won't matter. And when you pick a partner, prioritize the dude's character over everything, is basically what she said in a nutshell. And Dr. Steve Perry said the same thing. And he added a bunch of other extra comments, such as the truth and reality that people's salaries change dramatically over time sometimes. Someone who starts off making a lot can wind up making very little depending on what they decide to do. If they move to another state, if they change careers, anything. And The exact opposite is true too. Someone can start off barely making anything, and then as they grow and build together with the right partner, they now become higher income earners and they're able to provide more monetarily. But the whole time, the character is most important. And it was so weird to see so many women choosing to hear everything except that. And I'm not going to get into the minutia of all the various comments that they made, but it was wild to me. I'm like, okay, I'm noticing a pattern here. The pattern that I'm noticing is these women are deciding to seek validation. They would rather seek validation from other equally traumatized women online than seek the much more useful and solid advice being presented by Iyanla Vanzant and Dr. Steve Perry, even if it might be flawed. Because I already acknowledged that some of what Iyanla was saying, I didn't fully agree with. I don't agree that intellect is men and intuition is women. But I certainly agree with the idea that men and women process information differently. And because of how they process information, they react to things differently. And I also agree that more women are reacting to situations the way that men would. And that it's not it's very harmful. And the fact that she got so much pushback on that idea, and I saw a lot of, yes, girl, I'm so happy that we ain't putting up with blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you say you're not, but really what you're putting up with is loneliness. That's what you're putting up with. And a lot of y'all is capping because you have put up with crap before from these bad dudes. And that's why you're so fired up in these comments now. You have all the smoke for Iyanla Vanzant and Dr. Steve Perry and all these supposedly trash men out here. But you ain't had no smoke for your damn self when you were picking your last relationship. Where was your fire then? Where was your energy in those moments? You should have spent your time and energy correctly vetting your ex. Because if you vetted him correctly, most of y'all would have never even made him your ex to begin with. As I said before. So it was just so weird and interesting for me to see all these women trauma bonding with each other and rejecting any kind of advice that says, hey, you have agency here. Yes, you have the right to feel like a man should provide monetarily. And you certainly have a right to be angry and upset about what was done to you. But that right to feel the way you feel is not more important than, or shouldn't anyway, be more important than you being happy, should it? Don't you deserve happiness with someone that loves you and cares about you? Don't you deserve somebody good? Or would you rather be concerned with getting what you want instead of getting what you need? I don't know. Now, allow me to be clear also. Not all women are making that choice. there are so many women that are indeed dating the bus drivers, the essential workers, the sanitary people, the janitors, the 9-to-5ers, the teachers, the folks that don't make a whole lot. They are dating these men that are oftentimes not as well paid as them. So many women are making this decision. They are deciding to date the bus drivers. Okay? They are deciding that. They did decide this. And that doesn't mean that all of these essential workers are automatically good men. That was one of the comments a lot of those, YouTube commenters were making, like trying to point out that not every man is blah. It's like, yeah, you're right. Not every bus driver is good, but not every 6-figure dude is good either. And not every man is bad either. But as I was saying, most women are already deciding to prioritize their own happiness over having everything that they want in the pretty package that they want it in. They have decided, hey, I'd rather be loved than validated. Yes, I've been hurt before by men. Some of them have been hurt real bad. Physically, mentally, spiritually. They've been hurt in all kind of different ways by bad men before. But they gave it another go. They realized that their next man does not have to be equivalent to their previous man. Because that's the objective truth. All people are different, including men. I saw some comments where, the traumatized women were talking about, how I didn't hear anyone tell men to stop picking girls for aesthetic reasons. It's like, well, that's because in real life, so many men often do not pick their partners purely for aesthetic reasons. I mean, let's be clear. Yes, men are visual creatures. And it's very rare that a man decides to partner with a woman that he's not attracted to. I would say that it's nearly impossible to find one. Most men are indeed attracted to their partner. But when people actually talk to men, and by men, I mean good men, not the kind that you're trying to avoid, decent men. When you talk to decent men, they recognize that there are far more important things than aesthetics. They need more than just a pretty face and good body dimensions or whatever the hell. I mean, they like those things, but they prefer peace. They need loyalty. They need encouragement. They need all the same good things that everyone would want. And they would much rather pick a woman that gave them all of those things versus pick someone that satisfied their eyes. So in real life, so many women are making the choice to follow their hearts rather than their heads. And that's the TLDR, to be honest, because at the end of the day, there are so many internet personalities that comment on men and women's issues. But in real life, they don't follow the advice that they put forth. I'm not one of those people. I say what I say from personal experience and other people's experiences and observation. I'm a happily married man who could never harm his wife. But you know why I can't harm my wife? A, because I don't wanna. But B, this is my best friend who doesn't deserve that. She don't deserve that from me or from anyone. That woman's been nothing but good to me. If I repay her with anything less than absolute goodness, then I'm trash. And I know that. And I would absolutely not deserve her anymore. But here's the thing. So many women will pass over guys that feel this way. They'll pass them right over. Why? Because they don't make enough. Because they're not tall enough. Because they're not bold enough. Because they don't perform masculinity well enough. They'll pass right over these dudes. And they'll go for the guys that are bright and shiny. They will go and be with exactly the kind of guys that they should be running from. And then turn around and be mad years later after the guy has wasted their time, resources, energy, used up their body, their hearts and minds and all that kind of stuff. Then they want to be fired up in these comments. Meanwhile, ignoring the kind of guys that feel like I do about their women. Guys that are out here. Guys that definitely still exist. You know what I'm saying? All because they want to nitpick somebody. And they want to defend the right to nitpick somebody because men, bad men, nitpick women. So they want to be able to do it too. Bad men hurt them, so they want to get their payback. They want to be able to be validated in their bitterness and resentment. And then they want to bring that resentment everywhere that they go. And if you dare tell them that they're being resentful and that they're not handling their trauma well, they're going to fight for their right to feel the way that they feel instead of trying to use that energy to fix their goddamn problem. It's interesting because, you know, I watch a guy by the name of Kev Hick. He's a dating coach. And even though I don't need his advice because I'm happily married, the insights that he provides are really, really good. And he's a married guy, happily married guy with children and all that kind of stuff. So he's living his advice too. But in so many of these videos, I would hear him going hard on some of the YouTube commenters. And his audience is like 90-something% female. So when he's going hard at these YouTube commenters, that means he's going hard at a bunch of women. and this would be a persistent thing no matter what. Well, I ain't gonna say no matter what video, but you know, in multiple videos, he would admonish their behavior and stuff like that and throw little, I mean, it wasn't even petty shots or nothing like that, but he would just, you know, come out strongly against their stances in the same kind of way that I have today. And I'd be like, damn, what the hell's going on here? I mean, I could see why he was annoyed, but I didn't fully get it. Now I really get it, because some of these bitter women that are out here advocating for nitpicking and advocating avoiding bus drivers because that would be the equivalent of dating down, and black women are tired of doing that and all that kind of stuff. They're insufferable, bruh. They are insufferable. And again, it's not that they're unjustified in their anger. Some of them have been really hurt bad by dudes, starting with their own fathers. You know what I'm saying? And as I said at the very beginning of this, it's not their fault that they got hurt by these men. It wasn't their choice to get hurt by these men, you know? But the part that those women like to leave out of their trauma comments is so many of them chose these bad men on purpose. They either knew the dude was bad and decided to go with it anyway, or they didn't give themselves a chance to determine whether he was good or bad, and then found out way too late after they done gave too much of themselves. Or they ignored the very blatant signs that he was bad because he had those want qualities that they're deciding to prioritize so much over a dude's character, you know? And I fully understand why he, you know, would say the things that he said now. I do. You know, I still have compassion for them. I really do. And so does he, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to say that he was Kevin Samuels. Hell no, he wasn't that. Far from that shit. But what I am saying is, you know, some people would rather, you know, so many women would rather be right than to be loved. They'd rather be validated than be accountable, because it's easier. It's easier to throw stones than it is to build houses. And so that's what they're deciding to do, because they got hit upside the head. They want to throw stones at all men now, even the good ones. But and it's, again, it's easier to throw a stone. It don't take no energy to do that. But what does take energy is assessing what it is about you that is attracted to trash dudes. Why did you give that trash dude so much of your time and energy? That's not easy to do. It's much easier to be like, fuck that, all dudes are trash, instead of taking an honest inventory as to where you went wrong. And then the other thing is that I thought was funny was many of these women weren't even talking about their own trauma. They were talking about other women's trauma. So they haven't even experienced this for themselves. They're going off of other people's experiences. And not to say that you shouldn't, because you absolutely should use other people's experiences to inform your own, but you can't just absorb somebody's perspective exactly as they perceive it, especially when you can't even get the other side. Because there were so many women saying that, oh, I did date a bus driver and he felt resentful, he felt jealous, he felt small because of, you know, what I made and the fact that he couldn't provide monetarily for me, so we broke up. That's what they say in the comments, but they're not telling you how they made that man feel. They're not telling you how sometimes they made that man feel small by diminishing his contribution because of his lack of a paycheck. And I'm not saying all of them did this. I'm saying that a portion of them probably did. And they're not telling you that because they can't tell you that. They don't know the effect that they have on people. They probably exhibited toxic ass characteristics because of their money, because of their power or relative power. They contributed to the demise of their relationship just as much as he did. And maybe he wasn't threatened by her power, but he got sick of her bullshit. Maybe he got sick of being demeaned. Maybe he got tired of being made to feel less than. You know? But they can't provide that perspective. And so that's a lesson in and of itself, to not just mindly absorb somebody's perspective. But anyway, so what do we make of all of this? How do we move forward? Well, again, I will say this. I am happily married to my wife. We've been married for nearly 9 years. We've been together in a happy, loving relationship for roughly 14 years. We have so much fun together every day. Not because we spend a whole lot of money, because I don't make a whole lot of money. I'm a teacher in the state of Florida. I probably make less than a bus driver. Especially a bus driver in an urban area, you know. And she actually does make more than me. Do I care? Hell no. I hope she does make more than I do. We can't both be broke. Nah, but I hope her salary goes as high as it can go. And as a matter of fact, I hope she can follow her passion, really. That way she ain't even got to worry about a salary. She can be happy doing what she was put on this earth to do, which I believe is to make music. You know? But the reason I'm able to feel like this about my wife is because she is my friend. She was my friend before she was my girlfriend. She was my friend before she was my fiance. She was my friend before she became my wife and sex partner. You know, she was my friend first before all of those things. And so if you're a woman seeking a man, you need to make that man be your friend first. You need to determine what kind of friend he is first. And I'm not talking about friends who fuck. No, I'm talking about real platonic friends. Hey, how was your day today? What's your favorite color? How do you feel about this issue? How do you feel about that issue? Do you like kids? Are you a ketchup kind of guy or a mustard kind of guy? You know, that kind of thing. What's your favorite movie? No lie. All those conversations need to be held, plus many, 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 many more. It takes time to establish friendship. And so many women get into these hyper fast relationships with these guys, and they're sleeping next to strangers. You know? I was friends with Vicky for years before we ever made physical contact in a romantic way. I knew her since 2007. We got together as a couple in 2010. That's how much friendship building that we had built by that time. And I would submit to ladies that to the ladies out there that you should do the same thing. Make that ass wait. And while you're waiting, let him get to know you, really get to know him. Meet his family, meet his friends. Let him meet your family. Let him meet your friends. Become experts in each other first before you have sex, before y'all hold hands, before you exchange I love yous and babes and all this type of shit. Take the time that it takes to really learn and know somebody, because that's how you determine long-term compatibility. You know what I'm saying? That's real. And I'm saying this because I did this. And I've noticed that the people that don't do this, they often either can't maintain a good relationship, or the relationship that they do get into, or the relationships, I should say, plural, are tumultuous and roller coastery. The relationships are unnecessarily arduous because y'all ain't got nothing to withdraw from. Y'all don't have no reservoir of friendship to make withdrawals from. Because here's the thing about marriage and relationships and partnerships. Things get hard sometimes. And sometimes it's not necessarily of one's own doing. COVID happened to everybody. You know what I'm saying? That was one of the toughest times in American history. But COVID actually strengthened our marriage, because we got to spend time with each other for real. Look into each other's eyes, take a break from working all the time, accomplish things together. We got to deposit more into our friendship reservoir during that time. You know? Because at the end of the day, you're not going to always be having sex with your partner. You're not going to always be going on fancy trips and dates and all this with your partner. You're not going to always be romancing your partner. You have to be able to sit next to them without wanting to slap the shit out of them. You know? You have to be able to fart around him. You have to be able to get sick and be coughing up, you know, ounces and ounces of snot and all that kind of stuff around him. And you have to be rest assured that he's going to take care of you. You got to be able to go to the hospital with your partner and know that his judgment is sound enough to make a life or death decision for you if it ever has to come to that. Notice, none of those things require a guy to have a salary, a specific salary, you know? Notice the quality of that person's character is going to help them be better for you, not how much they have in their wallet. Now, let me be clear. I am not trying to somehow make the suggestion that money is somehow not important. It absolutely is important. But more important than money is money management. It ain't about how much you make. It's about how much you keep, how much you save, how much you spend, or how much you don't spend. One of the things that works about our relationship is that I'm not stupid with my spending, for the most part. I might buy some little electronic thing every now and again, but I'm going to make sure that if I do that, it only hurts me, not us. I'm going to take care of what needs to be taken care of first, though, before I do any of that. So I've demonstrated that I'm reliable and dependable in that way. You know? Some of y'all will pick somebody that has money or looks like he has money, but the dude won't even pay for the first date. And then y'all be confused on whether you should go on a second date with him. Hell no. Hell no. A man that's not even willing to spend money on you is signaling to you that you're not important enough to him for him to give up some of his resources to make your life easier. That's something I learned from Kev Hick. Those are for the guys that won't pay for a first date. The guys that can't pay for a first date are signaling to you that they're not reliable enough to take care of you, to provide for you or a potential family. They're not stable enough. A man that can't take care of himself can't take care of anyone else, including you or the kids, the potential kids. And that doesn't mean that he has to be making the most. He just has to manage his money well enough and not be stupid with it. He ain't got to make no whole lot of money. He just got to make whatever amount of money he does earn, make it work for him and make it work for you. And if he can't do that, then he's not a good partner. So money's important for sure, but money is not the end all be all. So that's one part of Iyanla's argument that I would add on to, coming from the perspective of someone that is married, currently married. But again, your partner has to be your partner. It's literally a tag team match. You know, when it comes down to whatever the opponent is, one of y'all is in the ring at a time, and sometimes you got to tag in, sometimes you got to tag out. But ladies, you should be looking for someone who's a reliable tag partner. Someone that's strong where you are weak. Someone that treats you the way you deserve to be treated. Someone that makes you better because he's better. Someone that feels the same way about you that I feel about my wife. That's the kind of partner you need to be seeking. That's the kind of partner that'll make you happy. And again, his salary does not determine his viability in any of those arenas or areas that I mentioned. So, you got to decide. Do you want to be right? Or do you want to be loved? That choice is up to you, But the point is, yes, women deserve better. Absolutely. Us men, a good chunk of us are trash. And I'm not talking about 25%. I'm talking about the majority. I'm not going to say the vast majority, but the majority. At the very least, we got some growing up to do, some maturing to do. At best. At our worst, we're actively bad at being partners for women. Completely unequipped in every way to be a partner for a woman. I will readily admit that. I've made videos talking about how trash dudes can be, not necessarily just specific dudes in popular culture, but the online hordes of men rushing to defend them and their bullshit. There's plenty of trash dudes out there, for sure. And you're not gonna get me to defend none of them niggas. They trash. And I know they trash. Right? However, it is the duty of every woman who's trying to be with a man to actively be able to identify and avoid entering any kind of sexual or romantic contact with those men. It's her duty to avoid that, to avoid them. And if she decides that she doesn't want to do that, she needs to know what the hell she's risking. And she need to be quiet when shit goes left. Especially if people told her that it was going to go left. Especially if the signs were there and she ignored them. That's the main thing. But yes, women deserve better. They deserve a man that brings out their very best. Someone that makes them feel safe. Someone that makes them feel valued. Someone that protects and provides for them. It doesn't have to be money that they provide. It can be safety, comfort, joy, happiness, security. A man should actively provide those things for his lady. And shit, even if it's not a man and a lady in a relationship, if it's two men, it's the same thing. If it's two women, it's the same thing. If it's trans man, trans woman in a relationship, it's the same thing. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who the people are. We all basically want the same shit. We want love. We want acceptance. We want kindness. We want validation. We want safety. We want security. We want support. I mean, I wouldn't even go as far as to say that we want that. I would go as far as to say that we need those things. All the other shit is a bonus. A thick beard, muscles, titties, ass, hips, big salary, all that stuff is wants. That's icing. Not even the icing. That shit's the sprinkles on the frosting of the cake. Because these are things that seem very, very important. But in the reality, they are so insignificant to the long-term health of a good partnership that they're almost trivial. Y'all deserve better than the sprinkles on a cake, in my estimation. But with that being said, y'all, I think I've spoken enough, so I'm up out of here. Peace.